Welcome to the Porsche Club Insider, your one stop for all things Porsche and PCA. Here's your host, Vu Gwyn, and the Insider crew.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 63. We are back at PCA's national headquarters with Manny and Damon at the table, and of course, Robert Forsyth at the controls. How's everyone doing?
Good. Is today pod packing day?
No.
Next week.
Dang
That's
it.
next week. Next week.
I thought we were going to get out of that.
It can't be pod packing because I've got to build a topiary wall for Charlotte for the store.
What's that word mean?
So it's like a greenery wall. You know how she likes to have that greenery wall?
Yeah.
Well, she's been like pinning it on shelving and all this kind of stuff, and she found something on Pinterest or TikTok or something and she sent it to me. She's like, "Can you build me one of these?" So yes, I will. After the podcast, go get the materials to build a topiary wall for PCA. More importantly, for Charlotte.
There we go.
All right, so let's get into what we did last week. Manny, you're up first.
Well, let's see. Last night I went to the Porsche of Hunt Valley grand opening.
Ah, yes.
Yes, it was very nice, very well attended. We saw Joe Lawrence, the COO and executive vice president of PCA. They had Joyce Jordan was there.
Nice.
The area marketing manager. It was the flyer said heavy on hors d'oeuvres, and they were. They had filet mignon sandwiches.
Whoa.
Yes.
Fancy.
It was very, very well done. Nice display of vintage cars. Jim Rolbeck helped curate
nice.
the car. That's the 3.8 RSR. Next to it is the TPC Racing Agilon car. It's the one, Damon, we saw in the showroom that hadn't started for 10 or some years since it won the 24 Hours of Daytona class. Yeah. And Mike's got it.
Heard he fired it back up.
He fired it back up and got it running. So they had that on display. They had a lot of neat cars on display. And it was a fun event. It was good to see that.
Beautiful looking facility.
Yeah, we have Silver Spring had theirs like a month or so ago. It was great to see that the dealerships are thriving so well in the Baltimore metro area.
How's the inventory? Were there a lot of cars?
No,
Not yet.
That's what's amazing to me. Like all these wonderful facilities are being built, and there's
I think they were all like pre-owned inside the showroom.
not enough cars to fill them
There
up.
was though a customer. This is for those watching YouTube. They had two ladies. This one walked around with champagne glasses around her. It's like this contraption.
It's like
around,
a champagne dress.
Around yes.
It looks like one of those old style dresses with the hoops.
I wanted to ask her, what was the job description? Were you expecting this? They told you were going to dress like a princess, but they say you would be surrounded by champagne glasses. So she walked around, and you basically grabbed the champagne glass off her.
So fancy.
They had another one. I think Roxanne, my wife, took all these photos. They had she stood on the box and looked really tall, and she also looked like a princess. And they had an artist. That was a members GT3 RS that they ordered with the Carrera RS tribute package.
Nice.
It's my favorite. I love the green with the white on those cars.
Which comes with an NFT, one of the option packages.
Huh.
Yeah, you get
And what
NFT, a scale model of the car, a matching wallet, and a color matching keychain, I think.
So what's the NFT actually?
I guess of the car.
So,
But is it like a photo or a like?
So what I'm learning,
like a number series or like?
Well, you know what NFTs are, right?
so
I mean-
you might get a thing, and actually, I have somebody who is part of or has a Porsche NFT who's writing an article for PCA.org that will be explaining all of it. But the NFT itself, I mean, maybe that has value as an image or whatever it might be, but it's the stuff you get around it, like invitations to special events. You know, it's not the actual NFT thing; it's everything around.
Maybe with that NFT, but not all NFTs.
Not all of them.
No.
See, I don't know what I'm talking about. I need to wait till that article comes out.
Yeah.
NFTs. I first heard of them, and I'm by no means an expert, but I guess about 3 years ago, maybe, where I was working before. he came out in basketball cards. And
Yeah,
he was
I remember
showing
you
it to
telling me about that, yeah.
saying these are now, they're called NFTs, and he was explaining it to me, and it seemed very bizarre that you kept it like you had a file of it, but you didn't really have. It's not something that you hold in your hand.
But was it when you say file? Was it like an image of something that had like
it was a base,
like a serial number,
like a baseball card.
Yeah, but on your computer.
But on your computer, you saw it.
Yeah.
And he said, and he showed me right then. He bought a packet, and he like opened it in the packet. I think there were 3 of them, cards, and he opened them up. And as soon as he opened one up, it said on the bottom what they're selling for. If he could put it on the market right then and say, I'm selling this one, I'm going to keep this one, and it's
So back to this car, what is it they got as an NFT? Is it an image with the serial number?
I would imagine they have a limited run of these NFTs. He didn't seem too impressed because originally he contacted me because he couldn't figure out the price because what the Porsche advertised as the price with the Carrera RS package. The price he was offered was higher, and there was no additional dealer markup. So I sent an email to Michael Tam, but I never heard back if Michael was listening as to what the extra charges. What was the standard on this car that they ordered? But anyways, they're happy to have it, and they had a display at the at Porsche of Hunt Valley.
Very cool.
And there's the other lady with
Yes,
looks like a slip and slide in front of her
and
dress.
she stood there, God bless her, for like 3 hours.
And what was
gosh.
the black tarp in
Slip
front
and
of her?
slide.
Yeah, it does look like a slip and slide.
I'm not sure what the message or what the deal was there. There was also, I didn't even go to, in the far corner, Roxanne told me there was a mannequin, and it looked like this one right here is a person.
Yeah.
So it looks like a mannequin you'd find in any Porsche design
an actual
store.
person?
That's
Yeah,
an
it
actual
was
person?
person.
Oh,
Standing
my
there?
gosh.
But you walk by, and he said he would grab your hat or like reach out to you. I'm scared of
It's like the
the
haunted
Jesus
house
out
of
of
horrors
people.
at the local Porsche.
You know what I
dealership?
love about all that is that's a niche market to offer for events. I will put someone standing there. I will have someone wearing a champagne dress, and I'll have someone stand on a box. And there's an X dollar that goes with that package. Like, that's pretty cool.
What's the event planner thinking about anyway? Like,
Well,
what?
but we're talking. I mean, obviously it works
Yeah, it
because
works,
here
it works.
I think
we're
we're going to see this at Parade, Damon.
we're
just so
talking about
random,
it,
right?
right? It's so random.
That's why I'm not an event planner.
Yeah, very cool. How about you, Damon? Oh, you did some. We were talking about you on the last podcast because you were in the basement doing things.
Yeah, well, I wasn't actually in the basement. I was working in my front room of my house, but over the course of 2 days, Thursday and Friday of last week, I was having the basement waterproofed. So my basement, when I bought the house in 2016, I knew that it was a rainy day when we had the inspection. I knew it had some leaks, but it only leaks when it rains like an inch an hour or something. But I knew I had water issues and some spouts coming out of the walls when it rained really hard. So it was time, many years later, to get this done. They dig up the French drains, which at some point my house had basement work done, probably decades ago. But they dig up the French drains, put in some new PVC pipe or whatever they do in their system, these sheets over the walls, which keep things like water spouts from getting onto the floor. It'll go down into the drain system. And yeah, not cheap. But if I had any recommendation for new homeowners or people who are looking to fix their basement, is don't go with one quote. Always get more than one, because the first quote was like $20,000 and the next one was $7,000, which is
So
what I
all
went
that
with.
water now leads to a sump pump now?
Yep, 2 sump pumps instead of one, and the pad outside of my basement, you saw, has new concrete. That also has a new drain, which goes inside the house and gets pumped out of the sump pumps.
Wow.
You know, and away from the house. So yeah, I should have a dry basement from now on out, and I can store things on the
Now it's
ground
a
instead of
usable-
like lifted on a pallet or, you know, in plastic bins, which I've had to do for a
Now
while.
a usable space
Yeah,
for more
big
stuff to
basement.
store.
We had our house built 30 years ago, and of course the builders used the cheapest sump pump you can get. And the sump pump went up after a year and flooded the basement.
A year?
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was really cheap sump pump. And so the insurance company looked at it and said, yeah, this is a really cheap sump pump. You should just go get a good one. And it didn't, I mean, it didn't flood it like it was like 2 inches of water, but that's enough to damage the carpets and whatnot. And So I go to the hardware store, and there was a row of about 10 or 15 sump pumps. And I just remember I measured the diameter of the whole sump pump hole, and I went all the way to the most expensive one they had, which was this cast iron, huge. I can't remember how many tens of thousands of gallons this thing pumped.
Huh.
Yeah.
But I told Roxanne, I said, this thing would have saved the Titanic if they would have had it. And it's been in there, I think, for probably like 20 years. And
That's what I was thinking about. I have the, I'm going to knock on wood, so excuse the noise. Yeah. But I have the original sump pump in my house. And what's the lifespan of a sump pump? I don't know.
Yeah, it depends how much it is being used or not. Some houses are not, their basement isn't fully, my basement's fully underground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it
doesn't run a lot.
I guess, well, when it rains, it runs a lot. So there's other houses where, I've talked to people and they say, I think I've heard my sump pump one time go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one thing is, thinking about replacing it, but then also replacing it and adding like a battery backup, because when heavy storms happen and the power goes out, and of course,
that's
some
when you
pumps
need it
are electric.
most.
That's when you need it the most.
Yeah.
And so I hear there's options for that. So, anyways,
Yeah.
that's
We've got that.
That'll be
too.
custom
home ownership.
modifications down the road.
Ownership. But you did get behind the wheel of the car.
Yeah, twice since I was last on the podcast. So we had a sunny day at Chesapeake, which if you're watching YouTube is here now. And I thought I was ninth. I think Manny mentioned that, but somebody, I guess, at the very last run got my time, so I was 10th.
That's still in the
That's
top 10.
fine. Yeah,
awesome.
I kind of aim for top 10 overall. That's sort of my goal whenever
See,
I
there's houses
autocross.
being built or there's condos.
It's like Laguna Seca.
That got my attention because they weren't there last year. I don't remember seeing them.
I don't remember seeing them ever that
So I
close.
think over the winter.
No, they were way
my
closer.
first thought was, boy, are they going to be surprised one Sunday or Saturday when they hear these cars screeching around the parking lot?
Yeah. Somebody was telling me, so Laguna Seca comes to mind, where people move in and they know that's happening. I think somebody was saying that part of the contract for living in one of those houses that events go on and they can be loud. So hopefully Ripken stays how it is.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Homeowners win those
They
battles.
may. They will probably send a letter saying that the cars have to be muffled.
Yeah. But yeah, so this run that we're watching on YouTube, it was my run was a little over 65 seconds, so over a minute.
That's a long course.
Long course.
That's nice.
But yeah, I feel like I'm getting better. I love my car. And then this last weekend I did a
a nice celebration.
super fun run for me. I knew I had done well. But then I autocrossed with SCCA, also did well, and then I was on Facebook the other day, and something popped up about somebody in street touring hatchback, which is my car had been classed in street touring roadster. So STR, STH, and this person was asking about, so I have 9.5 inch wide rims, 9 inches wide is the max for STH, and I think he also said he had a lightweight flywheel. So somebody chimed in, well, how about you just go to 9 inches wide and you stay in the same class and you should be able to run a lightweight flywheel. Somebody else came in and said, well, if it doesn't say you can specifically run a lightweight flywheel,
Then you can't have a
then
lightweight.
you can't have one. And I'm thinking, wait, I swear when I was reading the rules, clutch, pressure plate, lightweight flywheel. So I went back. Sure enough, all of 2022, I was actually should have been running in a different class, SSR, because they don't allow the lightweight flywheel.
So now you have a Chesapeake stock special.
Exactly. Yep. And then this year I ran the autocross, and a base Cayman used to be an STR along with the 986 Boxster S. Now it's STU. So much faster cars than STU. So my car is not part of a class anymore. I'm just gonna have fun.
And that's a tough lesson. There's a lot of people that get started in autocross and they get mod happy, so to speak. They get sticky tires. They want to upgrade this, that, and the other, and they don't take into consideration that when you make these changes, it bumps you up in a class. And now, if you don't care and you don't care about placing, ranking, and you just want a car that's super fun to drive, then that's fine.
Yeah.
But for those that want to be competitive in a class, staying stock is the easiest way, right? Then you're just, driving like cars. But then if you start modding, you got to read those rule books.
And know that the rules can change.
Yeah, rules can change.
Which they did.
Yeah, like Loan's car is like the worst that happened because it went from a 2.5 to a 2.9 just because the engine was built. It wasn't like purposely done for performance. But that car is thrown into a class with like crazy modified cars because the displacement has changed. So
It's a fun car.
man, he's looking at me.
Yeah.
What's that look for?
Is that what you're autocrossing Sunday?
No. So I autocross the.
I thought you were
99
like preparing excuses already.
No. I run the 996 just because it is specific in class. So, but it doesn't matter for BMW because I think when you are a non-mark. Non-BMW mark, you're like
Just go by
together.
SCCA rules usually.
You just
or
lump
whatever.
together or whatever.
Yep.
But I'm just honestly,
Just for fun.
I haven't driven so long. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Let's see. So it's been beautiful here in Maryland. So I took the opportunity to the other day I went to use my my electric pressure washer, which I absolutely love, and hit the switch. Silence. I'm like, oh man. I was
Isn't
like,
that the benefit of electric?
well, yeah, it is when it runs and it's quiet, but this didn't even turn on. I'm like, darn it. No. But it has been like 5 years and it's been trusty. So I was like, okay, well, here's an opportunity for maybe to get a new one. I'm like, what are the odds though? So they have these GFCI things on the end of the cord. I'm like, what are the odds that thing is bad? So
What's
I plugged
GFCI?
it. You know, it's like the reset, like on the wall of your outlet.
Yeah,
but it's actually
button.
reset button, but it's actually on your cord. And so anyway, so I plug it in and you could see the light on the reset thing, and I hit reset and it's clicking, make all these noises, but I didn't see the light on the electric pressure washer. So I'm like, maybe this thing went bad. So instead of going out and buying a new one, I bought a replacement one for $20 and wired it up, and all is good. Now, felt good about myself that I fixed it and didn't have to go buy a new one, but others have said if you have the reset thing in your garage or wherever you're plugging into, you can just wire like a straight normal plug. Like I didn't even need to actually buy the thing. Like I could have just bought a regular 3-prong plug and just wired it up and done it. But anyways, it was there to start with. I figured there's a reason, and for $20, now it's good to go. And it was a beautiful weekend. Ended up washing 5 cars.
That sounds horrible. My worst nightmare.
You know, but I really did look forward to washing Justine's car because there's no better way to tell a condition of a car than washing it.
See how many cars she's hit out in Utah? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
just kidding.
Yeah, and so I went through her car. I detailed the engine bay. I took out scratches. I steamed the interior. Just did all that stuff, and it's looking pretty good now.
Nice.
For 220-some thousand miles.
For an Acura MDX.
Acura, yeah. And I did, all those miles coming across the country. The last 2 days of last week was nice, and I wanted to not be in a car, so I did get to ride the bikes, which was nice. So I rode the V-Rod and the Ducati and to work, so that was cool. And my daughter turned 21, and for her birthday, I sourced because Manny said, "Are you going to put a subwoofer?"
You sourced the Kager?
No. We did go out for drinks, and that was cool. It was kind of weird, but it was kind of cool to go out and have a drink.
I don't think it's her first drink.
Yeah, it's not her first drink for sure, but my first drink with her, and it was definitely cool. But she wanted to put in the subwoofer and amplifier from her Cruise into her MDX, but with the setup the way it is, and anyway, so I found a powered 12-inch subwoofer that's a little slimmer that'll fit nicely in her car. So I went and grabbed that for her from some dude in Rockville.
Nice.
some shady transaction.
When we get back Project 964 from at speed,
I got to finish the stereo on that thing
because the Porsche Classic guys are going to look in,
yeah,
and probably make a comment about the radio that's not installed correctly.
Yeah, so actually in the 964, the radio is actually done. It's the door speakers on the driver's side are done. I didn't do the right side because I wanted to do pictures and photos of that one, and then the rears just need to swap out the speakers. So and then it just slides all back in. So should take a couple hours.
Nice. Yeah, cars back then it was much easier to do speakers. Just
so
pop
much
them in, pop them
simpler,
out.
so much DIN radios and everything is straightforward. But speaking of the 964, it's getting a little bit of a makeover right now.
Yeah, it's at Ceramic Pro up in White Marsh. They're getting they're doing like 4 days of paint correction and Ceramic Pro. So we're going up after the podcast to capture some content.
I can only imagine. I love single stage paint because it's so thick, right? And with their magic, and then they're gonna put another layer of ceramic on it and
You never
guards.
put a paint meter to that car, did you? Because he said they do a paint meter before they start.
Yeah.
To see what areas they can work on and what other areas they got to be careful with.
Yeah. Someone has been on that car with a polisher before, because
Yeah.
there's some of the edges were worn out. So
Yeah.
maybe because the guy parked it outside or whatever and tried to bring it back. But I can't wait to see it. It's gonna look gorgeous, especially
Yes, it
with
will.
the wheels and the ride height now is all squared away.
Yeah, it looks
the
really
interior.
good.
And
And
then
hopefully it handles well.
Nothing rubs.
nothing rubs, and you've got some upgrades coming up too mechanically for that car.
We're gonna put before we finish. We're gonna go, or before we go out west, we're gonna put the big blacks, which are basically big reds, but instead of red calipers, they're black calipers.
So what are the blacks from versus the reds? The reds were the 928s.
928 GTS.
And that was the black ones. And the turbo
Correct.
was the red ones.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yep. Bigger,
Nice.
bigger
Black is
rotors.
it's a red car, so red would work, I guess. But
It'd be too much red.
black calipers are something to be said. Just not draw
And what
attention
about
to
the
it.
rear calipers?
They get upgraded to. So the C4s came with 4-piston calipers that were a little bit tinier than the fronts, the sides of the pistons, because the C2s for 2 years came with only 2-piston calipers in the rear. But we're upgrading to 993 calipers
In the rear.
Yep.
Oh, cool. And no change of the what do you call it? The
Master cylinder?
with the
No, and I've read in forums where they say, "Oh, you got to change a master cylinder," but I've raced one of these for 15 years with that setup, and I never had a problem with the pedal.
Okay.
And a lot of people who have done it will say, first put it on and see if you don't like to feel the pedal.
Yeah.
I didn't feel anything different at all.
Yeah.
And if it's a slight upgrade, like when I put the Porsche brakes onto the Golf or swap the Cayman R/S brakes onto the Cayman, they feel fine. There's no performance.
I guess
issue
it
there.
depends on the volume, because I know
If you go to a 6-piston caliper up front, then you might consider.
Well, I mean, back to my modding days in my
Yeah.
Mustang, I went from I think it was like a 59 millimeter, 60 millimeter to like a 73 millimeter Lincoln caliper, and it was like the pedal travel was like I had to go to like the bottom
Can't
of the pedal
move that
travel.
fluid.
Yeah, it needed a lot more in that. So,
Yeah.
but cool. Can't wait to see it all come together.
Yeah, same.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about recent videos. The first one up is GT Cars at Spa, and the two instructors there were such amazing ambassadors for the brand. They were funny, and they're so easygoing in the video, and it's too bad I don't have in-car videos with them.
Yeah.
But they almost have like a dual personality, because when
Yeah.
you're talking to them and just hanging out with them, they're happy-go-lucky, whatever. But when they're on the track, they are like fierce as anything. And
Yeah.
and that's like, I'm sure they're not even doing 10/10s, but seeing how they drive in the rain, in the dry, they're pretty incredible.
Yeah. It was very cool. They seemed to have good camaraderie, and you could tell, when they were going back and forth. Like if you're watching the YouTube version of the podcast now, they had a lot of quips. There was one where they were comparing a GT4RS versus a GT3, and it was a funny little spot.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of humor.
If they're not
in them.
social media stars now, they probably should be.
So
But,
did you catch the term
itchy rear end?
Itchy rear end.
I was thinking, should I bring a tent? No, people are gonna they're gonna hear that and rewind.
So they weren't the only ones that were saying it.
That's a thing out there then.
It's a thing in Germany. They were just talking about how the car behaves and how
It's itchy.
The car's rear end is itchy, meaning it can move around on you and stuff. And
I wonder if they meant twitchy.
No,
they said
it's
itchy.
But I mean, I wonder if they heard the word twitchy, but I just heard itchy when somebody said twitchy. And
Well,
all they heard
twitchy is
was
kind of
itchy.
like more than an itch, right? So a twitch is like,
But I
oh
can see- I
god,
can
an
see-
itch is kind of like, it's a little rear end.
I can
bias.
say my rear end's twitchy here. That means something totally different.
My rear end's twitchy or itchy.
Twitchy or itchy. Yeah. I could see how if they heard twitchy at some point and somehow the translation was lost and it became itchy in Germany, maybe.
I think that's what happened.
I think they purposely. I mean, I think it's on purpose.
Yeah. Anyways,
We should ask him.
Now, if you didn't watch the end of the video, and I know Michael Tam went through this in the Tech Tactics video too, but he goes through all the individual settings for the suspension in the GT3 RS, and
There
you
are
can
tips for what to do.
tips and what it means to change this setting on all four knobs or whatever that's on that car. And honestly, I was pretty amazed while filming, seeing him go through all of it. So if you haven't checked the end of that video, definitely do that, because that's a treat to see how it's all set up. And the thing is knowing how to set it up, but then also knowing how to choose the right setup, right? Like that's only you can mess things up. Like if you think, you want it harder or softer in the front or in the rear, and rebound, and I can see if you're not a specialist, you could mess up the settings.
Oh my God, yeah.
It's much easier though than having to put your car on a lift to change the settings and then realizing they're messed up.
It is.
That's the beauty of that car.
Yeah.
Well, just look at when I set our ride height on the 964. How off I was. I was just going by looks.
It looked cool.
Yeah, it looked cool, but it was rubbed.
Everything.
I mean, Mike Levitas from TPC.
I think we raised it like 10, 12 millimeters up front.
He was having a heart attack at how low it was.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm thinking my race car was lower than this.
Manny's going lowrider style.
But it was the front to rear, I think.
Well,
the race car also had my race car had much stiffer springs, and
so that never really moved.
Didn't rub.
It never rubbed like it was rubbing with us. But the adjustments on the RS. Wow, I mean, when Michael Tam said they're hoping that there'll be some crowdsourcing and people share their settings, absolutely, because otherwise. Where do you start? Unless you're like someone like a Mike Levitas, who has raced on the team, has had his team set up these settings on his car. I raced for 12 years, but I never raced.
So one of the things when we were, you've been on a shaker rig, or your car has been on a shaker rig. I saw the shaker rig at KW Suspension, and they have files for certain tracks. So I mean, this is a totally different level of setup. This is like money's no object setup. But could you imagine if you said you're going to run at Laguna and they have the file for that track set up? You put your car on there and they run the test and they see how your car reacts, and then you can just digitally on the steering wheel change it to match the rhythm of the track. Like that's
I mean, I wonder if we could source a GT3 RS, take it to Olin's, and I wonder if they'd charge us this time for it. But but you can't. They have the different tracks, and it's set up per car. Yeah. So or specific cars, but I bet you we could do that.
I bet you they already have.
Settings.
I bet like most companies, they get customer cars in. Like KW is a perfect example. When I was there's probably a dozen cars there that were customer cars, right? So they get these customer cars in, and they get like raw, base data, and then I guess they think about what they can improve.
And then you refine it at the track.
And then they refine it at the track. So,
and I wonder, how do you upgrade the suspension on a new GT3 RS? Like, that's the only car I've ever seen where I wouldn't mod anything.
You know who has the answer to that?
Who's that?
Monty.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Monty's probably got the secret sauce to figure out
what what you're going to use it for.
Yeah.
I mean, if you no longer want a street car, then you start making track, heavier springs, thicker roll bars.
Short of making it not street legal, though, like I feel like you would mess up whatever Porsche's done.
I would not touch a single thing on that car if I owned it, especially for the street.
My God, I would take money on that. That would be the easiest money I would make.
I might add a
subwoofer.
I'm not going to touch anything in my car.
Manny, I've been pretty good lately. Good.
What car? What car of yours is not modified?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
True.
But I said if I had a GT3 RS, I wouldn't modify it.
Yeah, or
that's probably not
TPC's DSC Sport Controller, maybe, right?
I don't know. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is.
The question is, will the ST have those adjustments?
I don't know, Vu. Will the ST have those
Because the GT2 RS will.
Yeah.
But will the ST? The ST is supposed to be essentially in my mind, I look at it as a touring version of the GT3 RS, meaning no wing, but still all the underbody, or 911R version, new 911R.
Yeah.
But regardless, will it have those adjustments? Because at some point, all the track settings are going to become public knowledge, and people will be able to immediately say, okay, I just read on this forum that I got to make these adjustments before I go out and that every track is going to have these adjustments to what people think worked and what didn't work. But will the ST have that?
Well, it's a technology that doesn't have to be just motorsports. I can see why you would want those suspension adjustments and diff adjustments and traction control just for driving a back road.
Yeah,
Like,
or take it a step further. Everything is GPS based now. What car were we driving? What car were we driving recently that it remembered that it needed to lift at this particular?
Yeah, the nose lift systems on I think all Porsches now
They're
have
all
that GPS.
right? So apply that to a GT3 RS or whatever.
Can you imagine if they take that GPS technology for wheels? So if your better half is notorious for curving wheels, that it would know, or if you yourself
I'm
have
going to
problems
forward
with
this
curving
episode to
wheels,
Roxanne just so that you can have cold turkey for dinner.
Would you? Why can't they have technology where, as the person is turning into the curb, is going to curb the wheel?
Those little wires that stick out.
But updated version of that where it has sensors and it immediately yanks the wheel out of your hand and won't let you curb the wheel. I'm telling you, there's something to be said for that.
Manny, you should apply for a patent.
Yes.
The marriage saver.
The marriage saver, yeah.
Yeah, but again, they have the technology, right? So they could apply all these track settings, or maybe it's a subscription setting where if you buy this car and you want the track setting subscriptions to wherever you go, these are the recommended settings for Laguna, recommended settings for Summit, Daytona.
It'd be interesting if somebody tries to monetize it because that's going to be out in the open on forums really quick. People are going to share all that information.
No.
Yeah, perhaps.
But anyways, thank you to Damon and Will for putting together a happy birthday to Dr. Wolfgang Porsche. That's something that we pulled together pretty quickly. We had a few of our national staff and volunteers wish him a happy birthday, and you all stitched a nice video together for him, and we sent it over to his office. So thank you for doing that.
Yep.
And the last podcast, thank you all for your comments on the road trip. I really appreciate it. It was definitely a memorable trip with Justine. Lance asked a question. We did talk about the Spider RS, and he had a wonderful suggestion for the fall raffle. What I can tell you is that's a wonderful suggestion for the fall raffle, and a wait and see. I will do my best to make sure that, Lance, you are not disappointed.
Very cool. Hopefully, maybe.
Hopefully, maybe. Wink, wink.
So what's the second prize?
Does it really matter? Well, usually if you follow the recipe, just like Porsche's coming out with cars, right? Like, so this current one, a reminder for those of you that haven't bought your GT4 RS raffle tickets. Raffle closes May 31st, and we actually have a GT4 RS as the grand prize, first grand prize, and then the second grand prizes are Cayman GTS or Boxster GTS, and right now we're up to 5 vehicles.
And we keep on raffling off GTSs?
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yep, we keep.
I remember when they were all base models after the grand prize.
Yeah, no, we stepped it up. It's so the second prizes are GTSs. So for the fall, if wink wink, if we get the Spider RS, then second grand prize cars will probably be something along the lines of maybe a GTS or T.
A Spider RS and then spiders.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
no, that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. So anyways, we keep the faith and we keep asking, and Porsche's been really good to us, and hopefully we'll make it happen for the fall.
But they're not making any more spiders, right? It's just the RS, isn't that?
Oh yeah, true. I think
no more GT4.
Yeah, no more GT4, no more spiders.
Yeah.
So you're right.
So we'll see.
That was a topic of conversation at the grand opening about what we talked about on the podcast was people who have spiders. Do you just keep them because they're manual versus stepping up to an RS? I said, yeah. I said, well, that's a lot to be said about if it's the last manual spider.
I just watched a video by one of my favorite YouTubers, Zygreen, and he said that the Spider, the regular 718 Spider, might be the best car he's ever driven. So, I mean, An RS, you get PDK, it'll be faster, maybe it'll sound a little better, but I don't know. Is it a little too much for the road? I don't know.
If you have the opportunity to get one and enjoy it. And those of you that already have one, hooray for you and just enjoy what you have.
Yeah.
I did get a call from Peter. He listens to the podcast. He's like, dude, why are you calling me out? No, just kidding. He was like, sadly, you were absolutely right. Like, I haven't really been able to put miles on the car. Yeah. And he goes, I appreciate you saying about keeping the manual Spider. But then he ends it with, but I'm still, tossing and turning whether or not I should get the RS. I'm like, first world problems.
Keep the Spider and get an ST.
Oh. And the Spider RS.
Because the ST is going to be supposedly manual, too.
Yeah, supposedly, huh?
Yeah.
That's.
Here's the thing. If you have an in with your dealership and you can get all of these cars, and I know, money doesn't come flying for everybody, but it gives you so many opportunities to other things that, like, I would think Peter is pretty high up on the list with his dealer. That he should just buy everything what they offer him and then drive it for a year, and if they want it back, sell it back, but then just staying on top of that list, because then one day when that car you really want comes available, you're in line and you can get it. Because I think if you stop buying, then you kind of fall down the bottom of the list, right?
Well, whatever the next supercar is, Porsche will be able to sell it for whatever they want, because people are going to factor in the exclusivity of being able to buy new models. At the 918 circle that no one.
I feel like 5 years after the 918 was just only 918 owners got.
Well, that's what it still is.
Pick.
I mean,
still is.
The person who got the GT3 RS at Hunt Valley, they were affiliated with the 918 Circle group, and
I think there will always be sort of like, the GT Circle and dealers have their favorite customers and stuff like that. But the 918 Circle and what they offered with that package, I would say that is an end of an era. Like that they did that because I think they needed to, because
well, they weren't
selling. They weren't selling, so they're like, let's put a package that people are, can't not buy it, and they did, but then they had to fulfill it. But I think all of us here know, like, those people got such an amazing package with it that I think in the long run, they're like, well, now that they're in the position that they're in with all the cars and people are selling, I can't imagine that sort of circle is going to happen again.
And that didn't really set in until like a year or two afterwards, when newer models started coming out.
911R.
And then people started realizing, wait a minute, what's this 918 Circle that these people are getting all these cars? Because originally it was like, okay, you get VIP parking at an event, you get this. It was kind of like the NFT coming with the car. It was like, I don't know, it's just something extra that they give you. And then when the exclusivity of being able to buy these cars.
But then they realize it's the golden ticket.
Yes, and being able to flip them, and like, holy cow, people were like, that's and the people evidently, if you kept your 918, because technically the 918 Circle, the time period is done with.
Yes,
because that's why they told us at Rennsport that we don't need to save parking for 918 Circle. That's done. But what I heard last night was, if you still have your 918 that you originally bought, that keeps you at a certain level. So
I believe that.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into Porsche news. The first one is Porsche and Cadillac.
I didn't watch this race, but man, what an opportunity lost, I feel like.
Yeah, they were having brake problems with the 963. But once again, look back 5 months to Daytona 24 Hours, and where it looked like all hope was lost on this car, and how far they've come in just that short time period, where they're contending for an overall win. And again, the Cadillacs are pretty formidable cars, and they're going to Le Mans, and they were the fact that they came in second, and they were within I think 5 seconds at one point most of the race. It was a good race. Kudos to IMSA. It was not like like the WEC, where it's a full lap lead and it's not exciting. This stuff was going on, and anything could have happened. But Porsche got second. They won GTD, and I think they got third with the FAF car and GT Pro.
Nice.
When I say opportunity lost, yes, the 963 came in second, but we also have to remember that both 963s got first and second, for qualifying. And they blew that on the very first lap.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Going the very first turn, I believe, they both understeered off and had to work their way back up. So them getting, or at least one of them getting back to second place is pretty amazing, but you always wonder, what if they hadn't blown that corner?
I do have a Cadillac question. So the Cadillac Racing, what's this do for their brand? Like, do you think there's loyalist Cadillac fans, or are they just picking up the Chevrolet GM fans?
I think with the new Cadillacs, and kudos to whoever, I don't know the names, but the marketing of Cadillac, the old stodgy image of a Cadillac that it used to be, they've done a great job of erasing that. Cadillacs are desirable cars, they're
especially
not
like CTSVs.
the black wing. I'm not a big follower of Cadillacs, but I've seen that the brand has really improved as far as the imaging. It's not an old man's
Not
car.
your grandfather's Cadillac.
No,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
and it probably started over a decade ago when they started World Challenge Racing with the CTSV. It became a formidable car, and to go back to where Cadillac was racing at Le Mans originally, this is their throwback to, hey, it's our turn to win after celebrating 100 years of Le Mans. So
That's cool.
I think Cadillac probably has a better chance than Porsche has, at least with the WEC running at Le Mans. I would love anything can happen at Le Mans.
Yeah.
We saw that back when we were losing to Toyota, and then at the second to last lap, they had a mechanical, and we won. There's always hope. Who knows what can happen? But it's going to be a very, very tough Le Mans for.
Speaking of Le Mans, Porsche Cars North America came to us with some packages that are available. If you receive e-brake news, you'll see that Porsche opened up some pretty amazing packages for attendees to go to Le Mans, and Roberts has thrown up. If you haven't subscribed to eBrake News or Performance News or Mart Fresh News, you can do so at PCA.org. Again, I think there's only like 9 of these packages available, and if you're headed to Le Mans and you want the ultimate Porsche experience, take advantage of it.
I think if they send over their favorite podcast personalities, that will improve our.
It's 3 of 9 spots.
Our popularity in France.
Well, how do we rank in France? I don't know. We got to look that up.
I don't know.
Yeah,
we could increase it.
Let's see. I'm looking at this here, and at the PowerPoint or the slideshow, which I don't think Robert has access to, so I'll just read it. So on Friday, June 9th, you arrive, you have your check-in, have a get-together barbecue at Porsche Curves on Saturday. You get entertainment and experience programs, guest programs at the Experience Center and the Porsche Curves and the Pit Lounge. Then the race starts, and then you're basically catered to the whole weekend.
And they're going to pull out all
helicopter
the stops.
rides.
They're going to pull out all the stops because it's the anniversary, right? So it's
helicopter rides, grid walks, Ferris wheel, kart rides, and many more.
Honestly, I was very surprised that they had a few slots left and offered it up to us. So good luck, whoever goes.
It's amazing that event is sold out. When I heard sold out, I figured it meant the hospitality. I'm thinking, well, it's huge.
Spectators sold out.
General admission.
Holy moly.
Is sold out.
So it's the only
First
way
time
you can
ever
go
they
now.
said that it's been sold out. Wow. And when somebody called the national office, and I thought, I said, I have to check. I said, I can't believe that general admission sold out. It's got to be the VIP hospitality. Nope. General admission is
100th running of Le Mans and 75th anniversary of Porsche.
There you go.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. It's
so if anyone goes on this package, you guys and gals have to promise to take some photos for us and send it to us, because obviously we're not going to be there, but hopefully you can.
Evidently, that's the way to go to Le Mans, the VIP.
If you can afford it, this is probably the best experience
I'm not
you can
a camping person.
It's a bucket list,
And I was listening to a podcast, and they were describing the different areas, the British version and the Danish, and the Germans were like the best. They're most organized. But it's needless to say, if you can get VIP with housing included and ferrying and everything, that's the way to go.
All right, this next one sort of news item sort of blew both Damon and my mind. 1.3 or was it 13 billion? I was like,
That's more. My brain stops at 1 billion, so
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on at this point.
Euro too, euro.
Euro, yeah.
Yeah, Porsche SC, the holding group. So this is the one that that the family was set up, that has their share of Volkswagen, share of it has like all the other parts of Porsche in this holding group. They did pretty well. Is essentially the long and short of it. They're able to pay off their loan. It sounds like early. They got to buy the shares when Porsche went public. Yeah, Porsche doing well, which we reported in past podcasts, as paid off handsomely, and yeah, they said following the successful placement of a loan of €2.7 in 2023. It will be repaid upon receipt from dividends from Volkswagen. So it's yeah.
I wish I could take out a loan in 2022 for millions or billions of dollars and pay it off the next year.
$2.7
That'd be
million
great.
loan.
Man. So with all the talk about profits and paying things off, it kind of stings a little bit when you hear about prices also going up,
Yeah.
right? And you probably hear that the most, Manny, when people like write in and emails and stuff about, oh, limited cars, you're making record profits and you're still raising prices on your customers.
Yeah, people are paying. I mean, people are.
It's business, y'all.
I know
Yeah,
what
it
Porsche
is.
did. They
Yeah.
looked at the ADMs being charged. In fact, that people are paying, and they said our product is worth more than we're pricing it at, and we're going to raise the price up there. What they're doing is doing what the market can absorb, and
Yeah.
they're raising the prices because obviously people think it's a deal. No, I mean.
You remember when the GT4 came out, the first 981, and they were selling that base MSRP $84,000?
I thought
Like,
that was
what?
I thought that was a lot back then.
I thought that wasn't enough back then. But
no,
I
I
mean,
thought it was
they're
a lot.
sort of starting to. Well, nowadays, like it came in GTS 4.0, I believe, is more than that. Pretty sure.
It's so weird to think that six-figure cars is like a
Yeah.
normal price.
The only thing
now.
you can affect, I guess, in the trickle down our club, is that for our PCA, the entry level car has always been a used Porsche. That's what most members join the club with, and we certainly don't want the used Porsche to get out of reach out of young people.
Speaking of used Porsche, did you see that one locally? A fairly decent, mild Boxster red for like $6,500.
Is that the one with water damage?
No, it didn't say water damage. The one,
I saw one posted on our chat, and it was red.
oh, does it have water? This one, I don't know. Does it have water damage?
So this was on Chesapeake Chat or something?
No,
or-
this
no?
one is on our local PCA, not PCA. It's a local Porsche forum called Dorkafus.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
It might
haven't
be the
seen there
same
yet.
one.
Oh, it has water damage.
It was well, the guy put a new ECU.
Oh,
And so someone was just asking what else could go wrong.
well, the good news about that car is
Yeah.
there's only one ECU in the bottom of that thing, if
Yeah.
that's the case. But anyways, proud of myself. I didn't bring it home. I saw it and I left it there, left
Yeah.
it on the page.
Yeah.
didn't send a response.
Yeah,
'cause-
but that's even crazy. A water damaged, if that actually is the case, a water damaged 986 for $6,500 9 years ago. My God, like that, you couldn't sell that thing. You know?
So I don't know if it's that car. Manny's showing me on his phone, but the car that I saw, it was like parked at the guy's house.
It says a salvage title.
Oh, it has salvage title too. I don't know. I don't know if that's the same car.
You know, prices for
I
everything.
mean, it
are
looks
gone
kind of
up.
similar. but-
Window left down years ago, got rained on, but has a new chip and it runs fine.
Yeah. For
Race car.
$6,500, that could be a great.
Here it's 5,000.
5,000.
Yeah.
There you go.
So I don't know if it's the same car, but man,
Yeah.
What they say, the most expensive thing you can buy is a cheap Porsche.
yeah. All right, so let's talk about upcoming events. Manny and crew opened up the volunteer registration for Rennsport.
Yep. Kudos to Levi McCoy, our registrar. He taught himself how to use Motorsport Reg. Basically, I told him because I was busy doing some other stuff, and I said, you know what? I said, if you have time, call up Motorsport Reg, and they're really nice people to walk you through it, and they did, and he got it all set up with Sharon Nidell, And so you can go to if you go to Motorsport Reg and just type in Rennsport Reunion, will pop up. It's to volunteer to help out PCA for any of the 4 days or all 4 days, whatever you can offer. Where it works mainly around the corrals and the Porsche plots, which the last time was known as Cayman Island. But they also will need help around the racing paddock for our club racing group and the Concours, which is on Saturday. So you get a T-shirt and a poster if you volunteer. And that's the event poster. So you can do the math, and
it's just fun to be in the core. I mean, that's what we do.
People.
We just meet people. You hang out, and after a day or two, you just you get. Yeah, it's the best way to experience
I love parking the cars because you
get to see everyone,
greeting everyone as they're coming in and they're parking the cars, and of course everyone's in a great mood because they're. It's like when they're arriving to Disneyland or Disney
on
World,
the tram.
All the kids are happy, everyone's happy. You don't want to be in the parking lot when they're leaving, because then they're all sad. It's like being on the airplane leaving Las Vegas. Not the happiness anymore.
Yes, on the way in is good. On the way out is not
everyone's
so,
tired
not so
and
good.
cranky.
Yeah. Good news with Treffin at Sea, the cruise that will be sailing December 9th through 16th. Although we have not really turned on the marketing machine for it, we are already sold to the same level of last year's cruise. So we already have 600 people ready to sail with us, and we have until December to get more people on. And I think when we're at Parade, a lot of people will see sort of the amenities that are included with the cruise, and my goal, it'd be cool to see 1,000 people on the cruise. That'd be pretty cool. And I totally think
how
that
much
is
does the
doable.
boat hold?
Oh, the boat holds probably 3,000, 3,500. So I mean, we would be a large chunk of those that are at sea, but we won't take over a boat. They would love to see us take over a boat at some point, but I don't think this year's for that. All right, September 20th will be treffing to Gateway to the West. Registration opens after Parade, which is June 28th. And let me remind you, if you haven't done a treffing before, you want to register the day that it opens. The treffing Gateway to the West is also at a Ritz-Carlton. So I don't think I have to share with you much about the Ritz-Carlton experience.
It's a pretty good hotel, right?
Pretty good. So I think that one is also going to, for those of you like the amenities and the experience at a Ritz-Carlton combined with the Treffin, this one probably is going to be one that you want to sign up.
Did you guys get the survey from Porsche about travel?
No,
I got it. I got it yesterday, and I screenshotted one part of it. Let me see.
I might have gotten it, but I haven't opened it. If I did, so
it basically the crux of it is they're trying to determine whether or not there's interest in doing their version of a Treffin. The difference being they provide the car.
So they do. They okay. So they've done that in the past. The Porsche Travel Club.
Yeah, and I guess they're asking specific questions. Like they asked, "What influenced you to help you decide to go if we had a sports personality, a TV personality, a fashion personality, cooking?" I put no until. I think cooking, I find it interesting.
Cooking, yes.
But then I wrote in there racing driver. Yeah, that would be cool to have lead a tour as a factory race car driver. But they had stuff like, side events. Would you want to have painting classes, cooking classes?
So can you imagine you go there and the cooking personality's Guy Fieri?
Well, he's normally in a Camaro, so putting him in a drop top Porsche.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool, actually. I actually would like to meet.
I would
Guy
like
Fieri.
to meet him.
That doesn't seem like would line up with Porsche
Here's
style.
Here's the thing. It's cool that they send you the survey, but honestly, the people at Porsche are so well in tune of the demographics and who they represent, and because what they're going to offer is probably going to be very limited, I would guess that anything that they do is going to be well
the
received.
price point was funny too. I chose the lowest price point because that was like $500 a person, I think.
Yeah, and it's
so
it's
the point I brought it up was Treffin's a great deal.
Oh yeah,
if you bring your own Porsche, because they will They do a great job winding down you. It's a Ritz-Carlton. You have great camaraderie. If you want to drive someone else's Porsche, the Porsche Travel Club is perfect for that, whether it be in the U.S. or overseas. Here's the screenshot. They were asking me Palm Springs, Santa Barbara, and I'm going to butcher that. Ojai. I guess that's near.
You should know how to pronounce that, Jay.
That doesn't look Spanish to me.
Ojai, California.
Oh, hi.
Is that near Palm Springs and Santa Barbara?
No, it's north of Los Angeles. In the mountains.
Same area.
Yeah.
Well, from the East Coast, that's all the same area.
Yeah.
Now, Palm Springs is much more east.
I'm looking forward to hopefully I can get out on some of the drives at Palm Springs, because I remember, again, that was at Joshua Tree area. It seemed like it was like
best roads ever, and there are no trees. You can see around corners. The roads don't have potholes. It's perfect
like
out
perfectly paved, and like the scenery's like it feels like you're on the moon.
Yeah,
it's really,
but it's crazy. Feel like the sun.
I have a feeling I won't be able to go on the tours because it's just an all-day thing, and hopefully I can autocross. But I might go on late-night drives.
The only thing we can usually hope for is like you go out to the departure area and like you head out with them like in your rental car, and then you go for like maybe half an hour or so, and then you turn around and come back, and they continue on for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I'm bringing my Porsche, so purely so I can maybe get some of those roads at nighttime.
You're gonna do the trip that I've always wanted to do, which is coast to coast. So good luck with that. I can tell you, I with the recent drive with Justine, just bring stuff and be prepared. That's all.
I'm bringing stuff for sure.
Yeah. And don't push it too hard. I mean, like if it's late at night, like just stop.
That'll be two of us. So what's 900 1,000 miles a day?
About 2 people. You can do that in a day and a half.
Yeah,
I could. Man. Hey, Google says like 22 hours.
Yeah.
What is weird though? So when I drive long distances, I have these rules, so to speak. But when I drive long distances with Manny, they seem to all go out the window because.
Hey, can you pull over at the next rest stop? Oh yeah, sure. And you pass right by. Why didn't you pull over? Oh, I'm so sorry. My bad. I'll pull over at the next.
Well, first of all, his side door looks like an Asian supermarket because he has every Asian snack I've never seen before in my life.
It does.
Packed
You
up
never
on the
know
side.
when your last meal is going to be. You want to be prepared.
Like we're going to get stranded on an island or something.
And then you need to have the lollipops to keep you awake, and you got to be hydrated. But yeah, it's funny.
And when I get in the passenger seat, it's like everything shuts down, and I can fall asleep within minutes.
Oh yeah, he's the worst co-driver because where were we? Were coming home from Works Reunion Monterey, and
we had to catch a flight.
We had to catch a flight, and all I asked him to do was to hold the GPS. This is when we had like a separate GPS. Bro, just hold the GPS because I didn't have a mount or something like that. 5 minutes into it, I'm like, I look over and the GPS is on the floor.
And so what he would do to mess with me is he on purpose would jerk the wheel, so my whole body would slam the glass on the side window, and I would wake up.
He would wake up.
God.
He's the worst.
Wow.
Justine is the best co-driver. She stayed awake for 30 hours. Talking.
I asked my kids about tea.
Oh yeah. Oh, you did ask them about tea.
And they said that
tea.
means gossip.
Yes, exactly.
Not just talk. They said that's gossip.
Yeah, spill the tea. All right, folks. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, I think I'm good. Be sure to watch the 1997 993 Turbo video that released on Saturday. If you haven't already, Vu drove 16,000 mile turbo.
Oh, what a nice car that was. Without giving it away. Much more tame than I thought it would be. I think it's like the perfect cruiser, and I'll just leave it at that. Watch the rest of the video for the scores.
And by the time you're listening to this, we recorded Tech Tactics Live, the insurance confessions of an insurance car salesman.
Yep.
I think this is going to be huge. There's so many questions. My wife was asking me questions because I was telling her about how people always judge insurance by what kind of rate they got, and not what the insurance offers. And I said, we were talking with Lee prior to the show, and he was telling us about, one of the things people ignore is limits. And just because you reach your limit doesn't mean that the other person who's a lawyer will stop suing you at that limit. They'll go after whatever you own, your house, your assets, and so you want to protect yourself. And she's like, well, now you're making me scared. And she's going, what are our limits? I said, I don't know. I said, you got to watch the show because You got to make sure that you're properly covered. That because if you ask people what insurance they recommend, if they've never had a claim, they think that's a great experience, and they'll give you their insurance company, but it's all based on what rate they got.
Yeah.
But if you ask someone if they had a claim and how was the claim, that kind of like really opens your eyes as how good your insurance company is, and then finding out the difference between an insurance broker who works for you and an agent who works for an insurance company. And I think it's going to be a really eye-opening show for a lot of people. It's
not a topic that people want to talk about because they tend to want to shy away from it, because if you do know the details, as Roxanne said, it can be scary, but you can't put your head under the sand, especially if you have valuable vehicles, you have assets, obviously, that, once, and this is what I tell my kids, is you're out there, you are basically representing the family. And if you do something wrong with the car and you hit something, they're going to come after all of us. Yeah. And so you need to be protected. So I think you're right. I think it's going to
blow up.
It's going to
blow up,
as Bogdan would say. It's going to be a great show. I think we'll get lots of questions, but it's also going to be a great resource for us to refer to in the future. And just talking with him yesterday, this show probably could go for several hours, but we're going to have to kind of compact
we told him if it goes over well, we'd like to do a second show about garage, homeowner, insurance questions, how to protect your valuables, and not your collectibles that are valuable.
Here's something that came up at Cars and Coffee a few weeks ago, and I don't know if you all listening or you all here at the table think this might be interested. With the values of Porsche these days, and some of us, not me, but some of us are selling them. You may have bought, let's say, your 964 back in the day for 17 grand, but now all of a sudden it's worth 100 grand. When you go to sell it, that's capital gains. And what do you do with that? And how do you report?
Nothing. No, I'm just kidding.
No, well, that's the thing. Like, we were joking. Nothing. You just da-da-da. But what are the actual rules, and what are some, like, I don't know if there's an expert that we can talk to, and I don't know if we'll get into that, but it was a very interesting question, because our cars are so valuable nowadays. If you do sell them, all of a sudden the government sees $80,000 or $100,000 deposit into your account. They're going to be like, where did that money come from, and where's my share?
Yeah,
right.
Interesting.
So
I would think, depending on the car, but the length of ownership and the amount of money you put into the car for insurance, for repairs, maintenance, that's got to be offset.
It is offset. It would count towards that. But let's take your 964 as a perfect example. You paid 17 something for that thing, right?
Yeah, but that was in 08. So I'm sure you take insurance, repairs.
But that car is
inflation.
Worth what now?
80,000.
So did you put that much money in that difference in insurance?
You could add it up and take this is where cars are not really an investment.
Yeah.
I mean, I know people will shudder when they hear this. I always say try to minimize your loss as much as possible. But last I checked, I don't think I have to buy insurance for my stocks.
Yeah.
Or I have to maintain my stocks
them.
every 6 months. I have to change oil on them or whatnot.
But see,
isn't
this thought provoking though? Like, to think about it.
We'll have to do it like when they do the 60 Minutes and the person's in the shadows.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, if you think that's a good idea, maybe we can do some research and see if we can't find somebody to help us talk through that topic. So anyways, thanks for listening. If you aren't currently a PCA member and you own a Porsche, grab that VIN, head over to PCA.org, and we'd love for you to become a member. If you don't own a Porsche, we have the test drive program, and we'll help you find one. Remember to follow our podcast Instagram page, behind the scenes photos, videos, Porsche Club Insider, all one word. Always love seeing your messages, your comments on YouTube, and drop us a comment on Apple if you're able to. Podcast@pca.org if you want to send us a message. If you want to stay in touch with all things PCA, be sure, again, to subscribe to all the PCA newsletters at pca.org. Until next time, stay safe, and we'll catch you down the road.